Good evening. Hello, everyone. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Those of you who will catch the replay, I'll give Facebook an opportunity to gather us an audience as well as the other social media platforms. For those of you who do not know, I am Kristen R. Harris, and I am delighted to be before you this morning. Oh, not this morning, this evening. Delighted to be before you this evening with another installment of the Author's Tea. Super duper excited about this evening's guest. And for those of you who do not know, the Author's Tea is something that I created many years ago just as a way to bring before you independent women authors that you may not be familiar with, but they do have some very powerful stories to share. And it is my desire that you know these people, that you support them, that you read their stories, and that you're impacted by them, because many of them have shared from the depths of their souls. And it's not just to put their business in the streets, it's not just to air all their dirty laundry, but it is to, in fact, help you. It's to help you on your journey. It's to inspire you. It's to connect with you. It's to educate and inform and impact and empower. So this is why we do the Author's Tea. You get the tea. We spill the tea on the books and other things. And so I'm super excited about this evening's guest. It is none other than Annette Harris. Hi, beautiful.
Back at you, beautiful. How are you?
I'm doing well. I'm doing well. I'm so excited, so honored that you've taken some time out of your schedule to join me on this evening. I tell people this all the time. Have told you before, but I tell people all the time that you are one of my absolute favorite clients that I have ever worked with. Anyone in business knows that when you get a client that's just easy to flow with, that is just a pleasure to work with. And let me just say this: most of my clients are that way, but there are just some that just exceed that, and they're just easy breezy, and they just make doing this work such a joy. And so you are one of those people. So thank you for being that for me.
Oh, okay. Well, thank you. Listen, I got to say this. Thank you for being easy to work with, because
Well, thank you.
niceness begets niceness. But
Absolutely.
you were such a pleasure, and you just don't know how you helped me. Speed down, Kristen. I'm calling Kristen.
Hey, that's what I'm here for. It's a pleasure to help and to help you bring this thing to life. So let's talk about that. So before we get into it, I want everyone to know a little bit about who you are, and we'll get into your book and things in a moment. But tell us who Annette is.
Ooh, Annette wears a lot of hats, a lot of hairstyles too. But But hey, that's how we are. Black
Hey,
women, we
that's
have
Black
our hair.
women, right? The versatility. That's why I love being a Black woman, right?
Yes, I do too. Well, I am a wife. I am a friend. I am a radio show host, an online radio show host. And I have been doing that for about 10 years. It'd be 10 years in November for my radio show. And let's see, that's been a journey in and of itself. I am a lover of psychology. I have my undergrad in psychology, and I've always wondered what makes one do the things that they do, what makes individuals tick, why they make certain decisions. And I believe that's the reason why I went into the area of studying psychology. So I am en route to becoming a licensed professional counselor once I obtain my master's. But in the process, on that journey, should I say, I became the radio show host and also a certified positive mental health ambassador, which is simply one who encourages others who are dealing with any kind of mental health life challenges. And so I became certified actually during the pandemic to be able to look for things like that. if someone is struggling mentally or need help or need to be redirected somewhere. And then, of course, most importantly, my heart's desire is always to help someone, to direct them into where they can get the help that they need. I always have a heart for people and whatever it is that they're dealing with. So, and then also as of last year, August of 2022, I am a new author, which I'm so excited about. I'm very excited about it because number one, I never thought that I would be an author. And number two, it enabled me to be able to put my feelings and what I was going through on paper, in print. And that's so key and so important as I go about my own life. So yeah, I never thought I would be an author, but here I am, and that's kind of me in a nutshell.
I love it. I love it. So it sounds like you wear a lot of different hats and you are wearing them well. Let me just say that. And super excited about just the last part that you shared, Surviving a Silence Heartbeat. I don't think you shared the title, but that is the title of her masterpiece that was released on last year. It was such a blessing for me to be a part of that process. But um, I know what the book is about and I know all that you poured into it, but really briefly, just give us a very high level overview of what Surviving a Silence Heartbeat is truly about.
Okay, well, thank you for asking. I've actually now here's the book itself, Surviving a Silenced Heartbeat. And we live on acronyms nowadays. So now it's called SASH. I kind of look at it as SASH, Surviving a Silenced Heartbeat. And in a nutshell, the book itself is touching on and dealing with grief and how to deal with grief. Also, knowing that you are going through grief, that maybe the grief stages, because sometimes we go through things and we don't even realize that that is exactly, oh, I think that's what I'm dealing with. I'm dealing with that anger. I'm dealing with that denial, and how to deal with it. So I was able to bring my own journey into the book, my own testimony, if you will, to be able to relate to other people about dealing with grief. And I think a lot of times you can kind of get to people, or people can understand where you're coming from if you are transparent enough in sharing your own journey. And so that's what I felt led to do with this book. And I mean, the Lord he's just blessed tremendously, still blessing with it. And he used you definitely to help bring this book into fruition.
I love it. I love it. So, because this is a book about grief and you're sharing your personal story or you said as your testimony, I'm pretty sure, well, I know, I'm not pretty sure, I know that it's because of a very close and personal loss that you endured. So
Yes.
in writing this book, how important was this, or was it important as a part of your own healing journey?
Oh my God. That I don't want to say that goes without saying, but it kind of does go without saying. I learned so much about myself writing this book. And I learned that when I was dealing with that loss, that grief years ago, um, I was going through. I was really going through and didn't really realize it.
Mhm.
I'm thinking I'm okay and I'm going through the motions and even the motions of life. But your girl Annette, I was having some real breakdowns back then and didn't realize it. I did not realize it. And so even when writing this book, I started having more breakdowns because I had to relive everything.
Mhm.
And just to give your viewers an idea, it had been 39 years um,
Wow.
since the incident had happened. And I didn't realize what I was still holding on to, what I still had to maneuver through and get through. And there were some times when I was writing the book where I mean I just broke down. I broke down and I literally had, and I'm not ashamed to say this, I literally had to call. and start seeing a therapist during the time of writing this book, because I don't know if I would have gotten through it. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? But I will say this much, and this is not, I'm not saying this just because I'm here talking with Kristen. Kristen put something in me when I was in the book writing camp, and I'm sure she'll talk about this a little bit more. But when I was in the book writing camp, it was like that push, like you keep going no matter what, you know. And it never was really a writer's block thing for me. It never was. But she even helped me even with that before it could even get to that point.
Mm-hmm.
But that, I mean, I can feel her pushing me when I was writing this book. And I'm like, even though it was hurting me to write it, even though I had my crying spells and everything, I could feel, no, you've got to finish this, because this is not only for you, Annette, this is for somebody else. And so here come the therapist in, you know, to help get me through. And here Kristen in my head, right, just right. You know. So I just had to keep going, and I could not stop. It was the assignment that God had instructed me to do, and I knew that I could not stop it just because of how I was feeling. And with that obedience, God allowed me to heal.
That's good.
Hmm.
That's good. That's
Yeah.
really good. So, and speaking of how difficult that process was, having to go to therapy, having to cry it out, having to push through, you said that there are you remembered the people that you were
Yeah.
writing for. What is it that you remembered about them? What did they need from Annette that she had to push through? She had to get this done. What was the why as it was connected to those people?
Wow, that's a great question. You got some great questions. Uh, I will say this. When I first started, well, when I was trying to get my ideas and everything together of writing a book, I initially was thinking that I wanted to focus more on children, because there were so many at that time. You know, we were experiencing the pandemic, and so many children had lost their parents, their guardians, and they were going through so much. And I reflected back, because when I had the experience, I was only 15 years old. So I'm
Okay.
like imagining what it is that they're dealing with, you know, going through this loss. So I was focused on them and thinking, the children, the young people, they need help to get through their grief and their loss. Then it expanded to not only the children, but everybody else. And so that's what kept me moving. And I did question God. I'm like, okay, it's been 39 years. So why am I writing about something 39 years later? And he told me that grief does not have an expiration date.
Right. Yeah.
And you have to deal with it. You have to deal with it head on. And I'm like, okay, I have to do it then,
I love
even
it.
though I
I
was
love it.
hurting.
I
Yeah.
love it. I love it. And I applaud you and I thank you for pushing through that pain, because so many of us stop. We get to that hard place. And I can't say this enough. Anyone who watched our stream last week when I was on with Chef Jillian, you heard me say this. Anyone who's been around in any of my scribe tribes, but it's my mantra that I've been carrying since my days of writing. I'm blogging with Empower Moments, and it's when it hurts to write. WRITE, you've got it right, RIGHT. And it's because those are the moments that truly reach other people. And so we have to push through that. And I do understand that writing can be very cathartic, it can be that therapy. Sometimes it's something about putting it on paper that makes it become real, right? And so
Woo.
you may have carrying these things, you may have talked them out, but putting them on paper, it causes you to relive them because it's tangible now. You see it, and now that thing is real. And
Yeah.
if you don't deal with it, well, you really have to deal with it. If you're writing it, you got to deal with it. If it's your desire to help somebody else, you got to help them from a
Mhm.
heal and whole place. So I applaud you even for seeking out therapy in your process and not being ashamed to share that, because that's so important.
Yeah.
So I know that it was 39 years since the incident when you sat down to say, okay, this is the moment that we got to get this done.
Yeah.
How long had you been carrying the idea to actually write a book?
Now you want me to? uh, you know what? I'll be honest. There are a couple of things here. I had been pressed. Yeah, I guess I can say the word pressed with the or the feeling of writing a book. Probably, maybe a couple of years prior. I would think you maybe you should write a book. Nah, that's all right. And then it'll come back. Maybe you need to write a book. And I don't know if that was probably because I would have a lot of authors as guests on my radio show, right? I don't know if that's what sparked it. I'm not sure, but I know I did have a lot of, and I will say a lot of publishers knocking on my email door trying to get me to write. And I'm like, leave me alone. I'm good. What about me says to you that I should write a book, right? I'm just being honest, being transparent.
Mhm.
And so that was a few years prior, and I would keep pushing it out of my head. But I will say this though, when I had the thought of writing the book, it was never about this.
Mm.
It was never about this.
What
And
would you have written about?
I honestly, I don't even remember. I don't really remember that. And that's probably why I kept pushing it out of my head. I'm like, okay, what am I going to write?
Right.
But last year, at the beginning of the year, I think it was in February, we had our Black History program at church, and they wanted me to talk on what did it feel like, or how did you come through, your grief and your loss.
Hmm.
Um, and so I sat down and I wrote down some things because I like to be prepared when I get up. Wrote down some things, and I actually had a friend of mine who wrote a poem. They wrote a poem from the words that I gave them. And so I got up, I read the poem, but I had my own words, after that. And that is when it kicked off. And when I said, right, I'm like, what am I going to write about? Write about that. Huh? No.
Let me tell you what I hear in this. And because going back to what I just said, when we write things, they become real. Like
Yeah.
that's why it says write the vision and make it plain. So you didn't know, but when your friend put those words on paper, that thing became tangible. It ignited something in you. The word says write the vision, make it plain, so that he that reads may run. You took that thing and you ran with it. You ran with it and created an entire book because of one poem. And I know that that poem is actually included in the book, and it's like the structure and the foundation
Yeah.
for the book. But just look at how those words became life. This is why this is so important. This is why I love words. I just get excited about this type of stuff, right? But that's what I hear when you say that. It was those words that prompted you into action. Words
Yeah.
cause that type of effect. And so that's why it's so important for people who are carrying stories to get them out. We cannot sit on these things. Like when God gives you that unction, it's time to move. And that's why I do the work that I do. It's not because I'm out here just trying to make all the money. That's not what this is about. This is because honestly, this is what God has assigned me to do, to
Yeah.
help to pull these words out, to help to birth them, to be the midwife in the authoring and writing process so that someone can be impacted. There's so many people, everyone around us is going to experience grief at some point in our life, right?
Yep.
We're gonna
Hmm.
lose someone. We're going to have to walk that road and process through those stages. And so it's so important for what you have done to help us and to really, and I'll tell you, like when I read your book, I haven't experienced a loss that tremendous. And so
Hmm.
I couldn't necessarily relate to that pain, but what I appreciated was I knew that it gave me the tools. Like there were some things that I could expect. There were some things that I won't necessarily have to endure in such a grueling way because you've already provided some coping mechanisms. You've
Yeah.
given some strategies on walking through these dark places. It doesn't mean that it makes it less painful, but because of that poem, you were able to help so many other people. And
Yeah.
you know what I heard you say? I think this is so key. You
What's
said
that?
that there were people knocking on your email door, publishers knocking on your email door. I just want to say, well, thank
Well, listen, let me tell you something to that. There were definitely a lot of, I had a lot of publishers that I interviewed, a lot of publishers on my email door, and you're right. The Lord instructed me to go with you because I'm gonna tell you, when He was telling me to write, and I kept saying no, I'm like, okay, okay, I'll pray about it. I'll pray about it. And when I finally gave in,
mm,
and I said, okay, okay, I'll do it. And I was telling my husband, okay, I believe the Lord is telling me to write, right? No sooner than I said, okay, I'm going to pray about it, whatever. I hopped on Facebook after one morning devotion and saw your advertisement for your book writing camp. And I said, wait a minute now. Number one, I don't think I've ever seen a post like this from Kristen. And I knew Kristen. Kristen had been on my show and everything. And I'm like, okay, this cannot be coincidental. There's no way. And I'm like, okay, okay, okay. And I said, okay, I'm going to inbox her. I'm talking to God. I'm going to inbox her. If it's too late for me to sign up, then, I'm not going to worry about it. And I inboxed you. Is it too late? Oh, no, you have until Monday. And I think it was like Friday. Man. I was like, oh, man, I got to
you're
do
like,
it
dang,
now.
dang, now I got to really do this. Now I got to put some money where my mouth is, right?
Exactly, exactly. And when I tell you how accommodating you were and how sweet and sincere, it was like you took a baby because I had never written before and I didn't really know what to expect. You took me as a baby and you nurtured me and I mean, I cannot tell you how grateful I am for how
Oh,
God used you. I'm so serious. I mean, it was like you just handled all of us, that were on there with care. You got on us, y'all writing, y'all doing this, which which is what we needed. That push I was talking about earlier.
mm-hmm.
We needed that, and it was so encouraging. And you start everything off with prayer and you end with prayer, and that helps too. I'm telling you, the prayer helped take you through. But I just appreciate how God has allowed you to help us to give birth to these books. And I'm telling you, it's not for the faint at heart what you're doing. Okay. So I applaud you. I applaud you and what God is doing through you. I really do. My husband and I talk about you all the time, honey. We appreciate us some Kristen R. Harris. Okay.
And let me tell you, I appreciate you all too. This is just a side note, not about books, not about Scribe Tribe or anything, but my clients truly become my family. Let me just say that. Like we go through this process and there's a bond. And so I appreciate Annette. I appreciate her husband, the way they held me up over the last year in prayer and just sowing encouragement, sowing seeds, just really genuinely caring about me beyond the things that the services that I provided. That just means the world to me. So thank you so much for that.
You're so welcome. You're so welcome. You're a genuine heart. You really are. And when you find somebody like that, yeah, you got to grab hold of them.
That's right. That's right. You hold on to those type of people. So
That's
real
right.
quick, I know that you mentioned that, I gave you the push in the Scribe Tribe, but what else would you say? Like, how did the Scribe Tribe help you? Like, what
Oh,
were some things that you can say? I know it's because I was in the Scribe Tribe, I was in this writing group that really helped me to birth this book.
you got time? No, I'm just kidding. Um, No, but on a serious side, the very first thing that I would probably say, in addition to what I just mentioned about you taking such a good care of the people that you were working with. Um, the first thing I think you taught us was dump writing,
Hmm.
and that I was like, oh, okay, I can do this, because you're telling us to just write, you know. And then I think some people ask, well, what about if I'm somewhere else? Well, just get you recording, and then you write it later. And I took that to heart. So every morning and you told us to get us a schedule, of writing. So every morning I would have my morning devotion. I'm in my office. As soon as my morning devotion is over, Annette was writing. He's like, at least get your hour in, every day. Just write, 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 write. And I'm telling you, when you said dump writing, I mean, the words just flowed. I promise you, I never had a writer's block. Never. The only thing, once I got towards the end, I started getting nervous, but that wasn't nothing but self and flesh. I started getting nervous because I'm like, well, what am I going to do with all this now? I'm writing all this. And so and then I had to back it up because I told the Lord, okay, if you want me to write, you got to give me everything. And that meant I told him the chapters, the chapter titles, all of that. Because, you still had to, everything still had to be molded together, put
Right,
together.
right.
But you helped so much with I think that dump writing was key for me.
Yeah.
It was the main thing. And then coming on, on a weekly basis with everyone, being held accountable,
Yes.
we had homework. That homework made me be accountable. And I'm like, okay, I got to make sure I do this before Christmas, whatever. And then if I'm writing and if I'm getting like so many words, whatever, I'm like, I'm doing good. I'm doing good.
Yes.
By the time our next meeting, you kind of feel good about yourself. And like, okay, this is going to go well. But it was such a smooth process for me. It really was. The writing process itself, the book writing camp. I felt like I was just amongst queens. And I think I would say, did I say writers, or I would call them writers or something at the end or whatever. But I felt comfortable.
Yeah.
You didn't make us feel out of place. You didn't make us feel, girl, you really ain't got nothing to write. What you here for? Anything like that. You were just so encouraging, even if we felt that we didn't have anything to write. You were, encouraging, and the exercises that you would give us, okay, do this, write this out and fill us in. And you hold our feet to the fire and kind of put us on the spot.
Absolutely. You get voluntold a lot because a lot no one wants to volunteer. So we get voluntold in the Scribe Tribe all the time.
Volatile, I like that. But that is so true. That's exactly what you did with us. But it helped.
Yes,
It helped.
yes.
And I'm so grateful for that. I really am.
Well, thank you so much for sharing that. Really quickly, I just want to just kind of piggyback on everything that Annette said. I'm grateful for her testimony and just sharing that review of the Scribe Tribe and how it helped.
Mm. I think she'll come back up, but I believe she is actually setting up for a new Scribe Tribe retreat coming up soon. And I believe she's going to tell us about that.
So let me tell you, Annette is amazing. Okay, you can see she's a media personality because as I'm over here having these technical difficulties and keep getting knocked out, she just picks it right up and carries on. Make sure you tune into her show. If you don't know Annette, in a moment I'm going to have her share all of her information so that you can get in tune with her because she is a phenomenal woman to know. But
Thank
what I was sharing is that we do have the Scribe Tribe coming up, the summer cohort of the Scribe Tribe Writers Retreat. I'm super excited about this. It begins on June 28th. You have until I believe it's next week to register. We have virtual and live options available. So I'm super excited about that this year. In the last year everything was just virtual, but I'm excited to be able to touch people because I love to be in the presence. I love to just kind of love on my people and be able to see your live in flesh reactions. But we also have the virtual camp. We already have people that are signed up in different places around the country. Shout out to Texas, shout out to I think Florida. So there are some people that are in other places in the country. So you don't have to be here in Illinois, but if you are here in the Chicagoland area, feel free to drop in. It is a 6-week intensive. If you do the work, you will complete your book. Now, I don't give a money back guarantee that if you do the work, you're going to be done in 6 weeks. But what I can guarantee is if you do the work, your book will be a whole lot further than when you started. So I think I can say this with confidence. I don't think Annette was 100% completed, but she was so close to the finish line, she had no choice but to continue and get it done. And so I think there was maybe 2 or 3 more weeks that she spent actually writing, and then her manuscript was done. And so I can guarantee that if you do the work, if you work the program, you will finish that manuscript. And so it's 6 weeks. We meet in person or virtually once a week. There is a one-on-one accountability call where I sit down and we talk. I get a chance to review how much you've done, see where your manuscript is going, make sure you're on the right track. As Annette said, in the weekly sessions, we do writing exercises, because I don't want you to just write a book. I want you to write a good book. I want you to write an engaging book. I want you to write a book that captivates your audience, that appeals to all of their senses. That's one of our big things in the class. We want to appeal to senses. We want them to feel you. We want them to hear you, to see you. We want them to be right there smack in the middle of whatever it was you were experiencing. And so we do this. And the biggest thing is just the accountability, as she said, not just from me, but from the people that you are linked with in this cohort. These will be your sisters or brothers. So, I get me in it every now and again. But these will be the people that you are birthing this book with. And again, if you do the work, I cannot say this enough, you will get to the finish line. So you want to sign up. I'll drop it in the chat, but it's Scribe Tribe Bookstore. If you go to scribetribebookstore.com and you click on the classes tab, you will see the classes. There's a virtual option, there's a live option. There is also the bestie bundle. If you need personal accountability in the form of someone who knows you personally and intimately, then bring your friend, bring your husband, bring your boyfriend, bring your cousin, bring your coworker, and you all write this book together, write your books together. Every one of us knows someone who has said in the past, I want to write a book. Well, this is the opportunity to get it done. We don't have to keep saying what we're going to do in the future. I was just writing an essay, reviewing an essay for my daughter, and it was talking about, like, what is your definition of success? And it took me back to Eric Thompson. Shout out to Eric Thomas, I'm sorry. Shout out to E.T., those of you who are familiar with him. But I remember many years ago him saying that the definition of success for him is just saying you're going to do something and doing it. So if you want success in this book, you've been saying you're going to do it. Let's get it done. So meet me. It starts June 28th. I'm super excited. It's 6 weeks. It's only 1 week of class. 1 hour and a half of class time each week. But we can get this done. And I want to hold your hand and walk you through the process. So please sign up. I'm super excited to work with you. I look forward to meeting all of these new scribes who will enter the Scribe Tribe. It's a family. Please come join us. All right. So with that, Annette, is there anything, one, I want you to share? We'll get some information about your book and all of those things. But before we get to that, is there anything you want to say to people out there who are listening, who have been saying for years, as I just said, that they want to write a book?
Well, I'll just tell them the same thing that you told me and everybody else. Everyone has a book in them. And I don't think I really realized that, of course, until I started writing my book. Everyone does have a book in them. You've had experiences, maybe challenges, different things that you've faced in life that you can pen, you can put in the book. Books are not dead. I know we're in this electronic phase, but it feels good when you are able to put your name, affix your name to a book and become an author. So I would encourage you, if you have been holding out like I was, if you've been thinking about it like I was, to go ahead and do it. And just like Kristen just said, she says she will take you, she will hold your hand through the process. And I am a true witness that that is exactly what she'll do. She will go above and beyond as well. And especially when she sees that, you pour your heart into it, and she sees that it's your baby that you're trying to bring to birth, then she is definitely going to be there for you to help you to get through it. So whoever it is out there, man, woman, boy, girl, go ahead, write. You know, I met some authors through her, and they were just tremendous and just a blessing. So write, just write. Go to the camp. You may or may not know how to write a book. I was uncertain, but there are definitely some tips that she will give you that will help you get through the process a whole lot easier. So get that book out.
Thank you so much for sharing. Thank you for that. Yes, come on. And I forgot to mention, listen, guys, we have payment plans too. So money is not an obstacle, it's not a hindrance.
Not at all. And look, I'm a witness to that. Payment plans, she's got you. She got your back with that. And it's affordable. And when you think about it, this is what you are putting out. You're putting your best foot forward. So you want to move in the spirit of excellence, number one. So
Mhm.
yeah, don't think that it's too expensive for you. Go ahead and do it. Check out what she has. Don't dismiss it. Go ahead and check it out.
Amen. Thank you, Annette. Look, my co-host is carrying this thing. Okay, I'm so grateful for you. All right, so before I get kicked out again, because apparently somebody is mad, and this is how I know this is ordained, that y'all need to get these books out because the devil don't want me to share this information. But before we get kicked out again, Annette, please share with us how we can connect with you, where they can purchase your book, all the things. Let us know.
Okay. Well, the simplest thing to do is to go to my website, Get Caught Internet Radio, all one word, Get Caught Internet Radio. You will keep up with me via the social media outlets. I'm on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, of course, Twitter, TikTok. Can you believe it? So I'm on all the social media platforms. But if you go to my website, Get Caught Internet Radio, you will find me there. You will also find the information from my book. You can purchase my book on my website, Surviving a Silenced Heartbeat, by Annette Harris. I also have some merch on my website as well now. You see my sash, Get Caught in the Net. my sash, my sash cups. We have t-shirts on there as well. So make sure you go to my website and you'll be able to find me there. I also have Sash Talk videos, which is just an extension of my book that is encouraging individuals who may be having mental health challenges in their life. I do what I can to encourage you on a day-to-day basis. So you'll see my videos there and also my videos from my radio show. So go there. You will not miss it. I think someone is asking for the website for Tribe Scribe. The website for the Tribe, for Scribe Tribe Publishing, should I say. Hang on one second. I know I put it up there. Kristen, they want your website
Yes,
again for
ma'am.
the
So
Scribe
if you
Tribe.
want to sign up for the class, you can go to Scribe Tribe. That's SCRIBE bookstore.com, and you can click on the classes tab and you'll see all of the classes. Those of you who may not, and let me say this, because again, I'm not just, I would love to have you in the cohort, the summer cohort, but if you are not ready for that, or if financially you're just like, I can't make that commitment, there's also some other digital resources that are available. You can click on digital downloads, and I have like a timeline there, and so there's some other things that will help you in your process. My goal is to meet you where you are and to help you get your book out. As much as I know that this physical accountability is very important and it helps get you to the finish line, if you're not ready for that, then get some of those digital downloads. And there's a timeline, there's an outline. Our non-outline formula, I know it's the business, it's the sauce. That outline formula has the sauce, okay? Because nobody wants to do an outline. It reminds us of our grade school years when we had to do those Roman
Yes.
numerals and all. We don't want to do that. So I've created a non-outline formula that really outlines your book and helps you to structure that story. So that is there as well. So there are some resources, even if you are not ready, but you can find all of that at scribetribebookstore.com. And if you want to find out more about the publishing company in general, you want to go to scribetribepublishing.com and you'll find out all that we offer there. At the bookstore website, all of the books that we have authored are on that website for purchase as well. So those of you who love to read, that's a Black owned bookstore. Okay, listen, we're coming up on Juneteenth. That's a Black owned bookstore, scribetribebookstore.com. Listen, you can't be a writer
Wonderful.
if you don't read. Okay. So
Come on now. Come through. Come through. Look, I put both of your websites up there on your
thank you. Look,
live feed.
listen, thank you, Annette. She's much more advanced and experienced at this than I am. I cannot multitask. I was gonna come in later. I'm like, I need a show producer because I can't be typing and talking at the same time. So thank you so much.
You're
Listen,
welcome.
Annette, it has been a
You are
blast.
welcome.
I appreciate every time I talk to you, just in our text message exchange or when we hop on the call for a moment. I'm just always blessed by our encounters. And so this is no different.
Yes.
So thank you so much for agreeing to come on and share your story, guys. Please support her. Buy that book, Surviving a Silenced Heartbeat. I promise you, it will bless you. If you know anyone who's grieving right now, be a blessing to them. Sometimes people, you're like, what do you need? How can I help you? They don't know what they need. I'm telling you that they need this book. So bless
Yeah.
them with this book. And I know that it will be a tremendous support to them. Okay. Thank you so much, Annette. I
Well,
love
thank
you.
you. I love
And
you too, and thank you for this time. I appreciate it. And I
absolutely.
just pray for all just big blessings over you, the publishing company, everything. I just know God is working.
Amen. Amen. Well, you guys have an amazing evening. I love you guys, and we're out. Bye.
Bye. Take care.